We'll get this thing rolling. So we have got quiz 3 coming. Well, yeah, it technically is. Quiz 3 coming tomorrow. Chatting a little bit about percentages and discounts and markups and markdowns and taxes and tips and all this other stuff. And so I thought it would be wise. I try to learn as we go here to get a couple of things going on a help sheet again. Yes, the formulas will be on here because you're going to have this. But this time, instead of totally putting it back on you to write a bunch of other stuff, I wanted to do like a problem or two of each, just so you were making sure you were comfortable with the steps and some of the details that we tend to forget sometimes. So, without further delay, percent change, okay? The difference in the price, divided by the original price. So it's going to be a quick two-step process. You're always going to want to take the bigger number minus the smaller number, even if the new price was higher. So once we get there, okay, so $25.50 is the difference. Not the end, because then part 2 is taking the difference, so the part we got for part 1, and dividing it by the first price, the original price, not the new one. It does make a difference. And so here, though, be careful. 0.3 is not the percent. It is. I either need to move my decimal 2 places to the right, or I need to multiply that decimal by 100. So, that's the percent change that we're looking at. Or you could even say percent increase. Decrease, since it went down in value working with those, okay? So anytime percent change, those are your 2 steps, you're ready to rock and roll. Then we talked about how markups, taxes, and tips are all things that are going to add on to the cost of something for you as the consumer. So, if you're given the percentage of any of these things, a 65% markup on a $150 pair of shoes, okay? You're going to take the percent as a decimal, again, divide it by 100, times the price of your product. So, let's see here. So, $97.50 is not the price. $97.50 is the markup. So once I know what the markup is, for the total price, which is what we want, add the markup to the original price. So depending on what you're asked for in the problem, if you're just asked for what is the markup, you do step 1 and you're done. But if you're asked for the total price after markup or for the consumer or whatever that is, you'd go ahead and you'd add that in and you could get what that price would be out on the shelves for you. And so I am going to challenge you some tomorrow as we get into these doing multiple parts. Now this is where we're going to have to think a little. $80 meal with a 20% tip and 8% tax. Okay, Hardy, does it make any difference what order I do these in? Yes. So, we're going to scooch back up here for a minute. We're going to make us a little side bubble here. Okay. When you're doing these, if you have multiple things come up, and you will, if there is a markup or a discount, Those are going to be the first two things you do. If there happen to be both somehow, that'd be kind of strange, but I guess it could happen. You do markups first, which are going to add to your cost. That's why I'm going to put the plus here. And discounts, which would take away from their cost, help the consumer, save the consumer or the customer some money. So we would do one of those first if they were both there. Otherwise, they're kind of on the same level. If there's any taxes, which will also add to your cost, that would be next. And finally, if there was a tip offered at the end, that's the last thing you would calculate. Even though some people would argue with me on number 3 and number 4. And you can. So, markup or discount first. If there's neither of those, then we go to tax. Then we go to tip. But the only thing that's going to take money off is a discount. So, let's come back down for a minute. $80 meal with a 20% tip and 8% tax. This gets done first. This gets done second, because tip comes after tax. So, $80, 0.08, because again, divide by 100. Even do that, right on your paper if you need to remind yourself of that. Okay. So there's my tax on my meal. Now, I don't get to go straight into tip yet because I don't know what the total bill is. So, now, I'm going to add my meal price to it. This would be my bill if I was just like, okay, I'm paying my meal, paying my tax, I'm out of here, see ya, peace, deuces, I'm done. But we're going to be polite. So, we're going to leave a tip. The tip is based on your total. Again, divide the 20 by 100, get your decimal. So 1728 it looks like we got rolling here. That's a decent tip. And now that I've got the total bill and the tip, one more adding time here. $103.68 would be the total for everything. Meal, tax, tip, all the things. Again, though, you've got to watch to see what's being asked for. I might just ask you to say, hey, what's the tax on this? And you're done. You don't have to do like 2 or 3 things. But in most reality of things that you do out anymore, you're going to have at least 2 of these. So that's kind of where the whole tax, tip, markup thing is coming from. The last 2, again, is where we finally get to save some. We get to do some minus on the money instead of adding it all the time. So discounts are just done like markups, tax, and tips. You multiply the percent as a decimal times the price of the product, you get the discount. So $43. Again, we're just dividing the percent by 100 because we want to use the decimal. So, oh, I'm not on the screen. $6.45. Okay, if you were just asked for the discount, that's what you got. If I want to know the cost now or the new price, I would do 643 minus the 645. So again, depending on what you're being asked for, you're ready for both. And then I put the big kahuna on the last one. There's a 33% discount on a $360 couch with 8.25% sales tax added and a 10% tip for the delivery driver. Okay. Instead of just throwing up our hands and saying, here's my card, just put whatever you want on it. Let's kind of play this out. Okay, no markup here. Discount is the first thing I see that's on my list. That's what we're going to do first. $360. Get that percent into a decimal. Oh, let's see here. $118.80. Okay, so that's my discount. So now, kind of staying in that step, so I'll just call this 1A, 1B. So I've got $360 minus my discount. You're like, it's good they do have computers and stuff to do this stuff. Oops, and then I almost didn't write my price right. Okay, so $241.20 is the new price of this item before I start getting into all my other stuff. So part one, you're good. Now we got to pay tax. Okay, that's next. Take my price. Even though it looks like it's already a decimal, it is not. 0.0825, and we can't lose the decimals here. I can't just use 0.08. I got to get that other percentage in, otherwise the government's going to come after me with it. So if I take that times my price, so 19, that's going to round up, so we're going to call that 90. 1990 in tax. And I will mention something else while I'm doing this part. If you ever want to play again with colors and stuff, I have skinny markers, regular chubby Crayola markers, whatever. If you like to do color stuff like I'm doing here, you feel free. So 241.20 plus 1990. So 261.10 is my cost with tax. And if I was just buying it, picking it up myself, and walking out of the store, I'd be done. But I'm not. I didn't want to pick up that big old couch by myself. So I'm having delivery come. I got one last thing to do. Get that delivery driver that's saving me from going to the chiropractor. To come and deliver that big old thing. Are we finally at the end, Hardy? We are. Cost plus tip. And we can move on with our lives. Now the cool thing, again, when you find something on a good deal, $360 couch is now sitting in my living room delivered. I'm not even going to do anything, and I still am about $70 ahead. So, you know, sometimes discounts aren't huge, but they all come in handy and helpful as we're working over here. So that would cover you for every single possibility that you could run into tomorrow. So, here's the Hardy suggestion. This is kind of like doing a practice quiz, is what I would say. keep this out. And the goal now is, starting here on 23, so working here on the problems, I would say this. Let's do this. I haven't pulled this out of my hat yet, but I'm going to today. So page 23 and 24 is the actual practice. It's like the quiz preview. It's letting you see all the things. Then if some of you would like to find a way to grab a few extra points, maybe you didn't do one of the activity things in the last unit. Maybe you didn't turn in a packet at all yet for the last unit. What you can do now is get some of those points back and also prepare yourself some more by working on page 25, which goes on the same thing, but it does a couple of weird twist questions. So just something to put out there. And again, it'll be the same on this quiz as it has been on the prior ones. If you don't like the grade you get, you always in here have the opportunity to fix up the problems you missed, either do it in a different color or on a different paper and turn those back in, and we'll get your points back. So it's kind of your deal on how far you want to get or how high of a grade you want to go to on that.
Okay, so for this one, the 100 stumped me. What would I change that to as a decimal?
Still divide by 100, so it'd be just like 1.
Just by 1.
Just multiply by 1. Outstanding. I will take that and get that right in here for you. Thank you. Horrific. Love it, people. I got things to write and put in. I like it. I like it. Oh, shoot. I forgot to hit